Okay, a little up to date on what I'm doing. Since yesterday's video, I got the carbs, been just kind of gave them another cleaning, blew the outside off a little bit. But I had to do something stupid, and I ended up dropping this carburetor right on top of the most sensitive piece on it, and cracked this cover, which holds the spring and that chamber assembly down. It's for the needle. I'm guessing it's a vacuum system. Vacuum pressure or whatever makes that move in and out, and it presses against this cover. And due to parts availability and such, and how much a pair of carburetors cost for this thing, I don't know if I'm going to find one of these. So I'm going to hopefully just epoxy it. I mean, this thing's still really strong pushing out on it, because that's what it's going to do, is push against it with the spring pressure, which shouldn't be much anyways, and it's still super strong. Basically, I just got to kind of hold it together and make it so it seals. There's just a little hole in it, so I'm going to slather it down and put it back together, and hopefully that works, but it's about the best I can do with that, because I don't think I'm going to find one of these, but I'm going to hope that works. If not, I'll have to try and find one, and I should be able to still replace this cover while it's in the four-wheeler, so not a big deal, but I'm going to put that together and hopefully put this carb back together, and then we'll get together. I'll show you more as I go here. Okay, so I got the carburetors bolted back together now, and I slathered the epoxy on the top. I think that's going to work just fine, actually. It's quick set, so when you're putting these back together, there's a screw with a spring, and then there's a spring between the two butterflies to link them together. You back that screw out far enough with the spring screw, that other little spring will balance in there, and as you're putting things together, you can get the little butterfly tab from the one carburetor to fit in there. Then you can tighten that screw back down, and from the way it looked before to the way it's, I just kind of put it back to what it looked like it was, and it's basically compressed down to where almost all the coils are touching together. And then on top of that, there's also this spring sandwiched in between the two, where the butterflies pivot. There's a little spring that is just sandwiched in between there. You got to make sure you get that in there. I don't really know what it's supposed to do, but it was in there. So I think now, for peace of mind's sake, I'm going to hook the fuel line back up here, and then I'm going to turn the key on and prime this up and see if my O-rings leak, because I put different O-rings in there. So before I go through the process of putting this all back together, I'm going to see right now if it's leaking. Hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing, but so the carburetors. Normally sit like this anyways. So theoretically I should be able to turn the key on and prime it up and see if we have any leaks. I can hear it filling. We'll have to do that a couple times, make sure everything's filled up. So far I'm not seeing or feeling any leaks coming off of this. Hopefully you guys can see me, but I mean, thus far I'm not seeing any leaks. Just gonna do that again anyways. So I think we're okay. I'm just going to cycle it one more time anyways. Because I really want to make sure this is going to work before I put this all back together. But yeah, thus far no leaks as to where it was leaking before. I'm going to shut that off. I'm going to disconnect this fuel line again. Yep, definitely filled up the fuel. So I would say the O-rings were a success. So now comes the fun part of getting all this ram back in there. So I will keep chugging along at this, and hopefully we can maybe fire it up at the end here. Hopefully that epoxy will be set enough. If not, I will show you the final result later. Okay, so I got the carburetor back in. Everything's hooked up, everything that I can hook up to this point. I also went ahead and replaced the fuel line up to the fuel shutoff, which just goes right to there. Because, you know, this line, you know, 16 years old. It was also overstretched because I had to trim off a chunk of it at one point when I got it, and I had just stretched it to fit, and I forgot about it. But since I noticed it again, I decided I had a piece of hose laying around that fits, so that goes on there. So I should be to the point now where I'm going to prime this up a little more again, and thus far I've not seen anything leaking. I think I'm going to see if it'll start. Just little choke. It runs. A little cold out, so it's cold-blooded, but I'm not going to run it too long and suck a bunch of crap in there, but for all intensive purposes, I'm just going to try and get my light shining down where I can maybe see. I am not seeing any leaks, so we should be good to go. So I'm going to start getting this button back up the rest of the way, and I'll give you a little conclusion at the end here. Let's get her fired up. Doesn't know what it wants. I need to adjust the idle a little bit on this. Where did that knob go? There's a knob down here for that. Maybe we gotta go that way. There we go. Now I can run without the choke on. I think I'm gonna go take her for a little rip. It's dark out, I'd bring you with, but you won't see anything anyways. Well, it don't run any worse than it did anyways, so we're not leaking anything. That was the main issue. Although ever since I did get it back, it's had a little, I don't know, something funny with the carb. It's got some random kind of misspits in it once in a while. But I didn't see anything in there when I had it apart, so I don't know, unless there's something deeper in that I didn't get to because I didn't rip them all the way down, but took the float bowls and stuff off and just kind of blew everything out. Also might be a computer issue. I know I've seen some things about them where people had issues with the computers with them, or the control boxes or whatever, ECMs or whatever. This one's old enough it could be having an issue. I might kind of wanted to get an upgraded one anyways. But yeah, this is all back together and working, so now I can get my plow on and make some room in here and get this ready for the snow that's coming at some point. But thanks for watching.